Have you ever thought about where your produce comes from? Most grocery chains receive produce from various local and national farmers. In fact, there are about 3.4 million farmers in the United States today. But of that staggering number, only 45,000 are Black farmers. At the Better Buggy, we are a proud group of Atlanta-based Black-owned farmers, selling produce locally and nationwide. Our easy-to-navigate online platform makes it easy for you to make a one-time purchase or to simplify your life by subscribing to our weekly produce box. Whichever frequency you choose, you can order with confidence, knowing you'll receive 100% organic farm-fresh produce. If you're looking for a thoughtful gift for a loved one that they'd actually find useful, be sure to pop by our online store where you can snag a gift card your recipient can use to order their own produce and t-shirts. Ready to start supporting local Black-owned farms and making healthier food decisions? Visit thebetterbuggy.com now to start shopping.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Annalise Bruner. She is the offspring of a Tulsa race massacre survivor. So, we're seeing a lot of their offsprings pop up. In fact, I watched part of a video because Joe Biden is in Tulsa right now at an event, and one of the offspring of the Tulsa race massacre was talking. And there's many offsprings, by the way. These people are like in the background, but they are definitely there. And this is one of the reasons you would have a hell of a time erasing what happened in Tulsa, because too many offspring of those folks still live and walk the grounds of the United States of America, whether you like it or not. They are there, just like many of us that are the offspring of those that served chattel slavery. We are still here, living and breathing and hearing the stories through our families. Don't think we don't know who our people are. We do know. Many of us got names and all kinds of documentation on these people. So don't think that we don't know. Many of us do know. So Bruner recalled being confused at the time over sips of mint tea Sunday morning. She said she never heard of any big disasters in Tulsa, let alone one of her great grandmothers had any connection to. She wouldn't open a book until she got back home to DC, where she's a writer and a consultant. But when she did, she was consumed by the pages. I read it in one sitting because it is, although very complete, it's sparse. But how many words do you need to describe some horrible thing like this that has happened? Bruner said in an interview, though she is talking about one of the most painful parts of American history and her own, Bruner rarely seems sad or upset. At this point, she is mostly determined. Like virtually all Americans, Bruner exposed the Tulsa race riot of 1921 came only recently through her ties to the days are more personal than most. She was largely unaware of the worst acts of racism, terrorism in American history that she is changing now as President Joe Biden on Tuesday became the first president in history to commemorate the tragedy in Tulsa, in which a mob of white people descended on a successful, bustling, all Black 35 blocks of Greenwood District, known as Black Wall Street, burned more than 1,000 shops and homes and murdered hundreds. Before his trip, the administration announced initiatives it said will work to narrow the racial wealth gap. But if there's no racism, and this is not a racist country, then why would you have to do anything with the racial wealth gap? That doesn't make any sense. You know, These people just talk out of both sides of their mouth. You just can't go by anything they say, for real, including addressing inequalities in home appraisals and a goal to ensure the share of federal contracts that go to small disadvantaged businesses to 50% over the next 5 years. Well, that's not reparations. None of those, I mean, yeah, those things need to be fixed, but that's not reparations. That's not reparations. If that's the case, why didn't you offer that to the Asians? Why didn't you just give them all of the things you listed? Tulsa residents welcome Biden's trip, knowing that more attention is only good for the movement pushing for reparations for the descendants. Just as important, they know a presidential visit makes Tulsa race massacre harder for the country to forget, hide, or ignore. Bruner will watch the president's speech from her hotel room in Tulsa with her daughter. She's hoping Biden's visit and speech not only brings attention, but also gives lawmakers space and cover they need to begin the cash reparations conversation in earnest. He can be the transformational president the country needs to open the pathway to full cash reparations for our bondage on American soil, she said. It will be more, yeah, she's right. We've been talking about that forever now, and it's long overdue. Bruner learned that her great grandmother Mary Jones Parrish and grandmother Florence Mary fled their home, and Mary wrote what historians say is the first and possibly the only comprehensive first person account of the event. Parrish was an educator in Tulsa, founding the Mary Jones Parish School of Natural Education on Greenwood Avenue, where she taught typewriting, among other things. She fled the city for Muskogee, Oklahoma. But unlike many, she returned to Greenwood after the massacre and was she was part of an interracial commission to interview survivors. Her book with those interviews was published in 1923. Through just a few copies were printed. Okay, so there was only, I wonder why, well, never mind. He said only a few copies were printed. So, ladies and gentlemen, Greenwood is just a fraction of all of the atrocities that have happened here in America. And, the funny thing is, many of you may not even realize it, but it seems like since they have come out to fight the 1619 project, history has been coming up an awful lot. You know, we are in the time of revelation. So things are going to be revealed. So, and I think the more they push back against it, the more people are getting curious about the history and they're starting to look at it. I mean, at least me, I'm finding history every single day, virtually, since they've been pushing up against this whole thing. So maybe it's not going to have the outcome they think. Maybe this is going to inspire people to start looking and reading history more often. I'm just saying. And yeah, I believe they do deserve reparations. Why shouldn't they get it? You took everything away from them. Those people didn't come and bother you. You went out of your way to go to their neighborhood and destroy their lives only because you weren't living that well. And see, ladies and gentlemen, that's why they ran and burnt down all these towns that Black people were living in. See, they want you to believe you can't live without them. But historically, it says we did live without them. That's why they kept coming in and destroying everything. We did do it. It is our history. That is our legacy. We did do it, and they can't deny it. That's why they ran around torching every single town that didn't need them, weren't checking for them, weren't looking for them, and they built everything from the ground on up with their own hands. They didn't call none of them for any help, which they claim, oh, well, we got to come and supervise. No, you don't. That's some BS that you made up. It's some garbage you made up. Tulsa, those people went from the plantation into being millionaires, and they did it without a single high IQ person around. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.